All right, Browns fans, Rufio here, and today we're looking at Todd Monken's offense, how it will presumably fit with Baker Mayfield and Freddie Kitchens on the Cleveland Browns. So for this first play, this is Todd Monken's offense. It's 3rd and 10. He is facing our very own Cleveland Browns. And you see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come out in a shotgun spread formation. There are trips to the right with 3 receivers split away from the formation. We have 1 receiver with a tight split to the high side of the formation on the left side. The 5th eligible is the running back here. Now, what you will see from an Air Coryell offense, this sort of pure Air Coryell, is a vertical passing game. And what's meant by that is that receivers are going to threaten sort of a go route, a 9 route, off of the snap almost every time. The entire offense is based around the threat of that 9 route from one or more of these wide receivers. Now, of course, not every team is going to throw 4 verticals every time and just only run vertical routes, right? They're going to use that threat of that 9 to establish that vertical threat and then break inside, outside, underneath, etc. So in this particular play, we're going to see that out of Monken's offense. 3rd and 10, of course, you got to create some vertical yardage to get that first down anyway. But, some West Coast type of teams, and we'll see this later with an air raid, may, in this kind of situation, throw it short and expect some yards after the catch for the receiver to kind of run and pick up the first down. However, on this play, it's classic Air Coryell. You can see all the way to 10 or 12 yards down the field, every receiver looks like they're going deep. They're threatening that vertical space. It's only after they pass the first down marker, a good 3 or 4 yards past it, do these 2 inside receivers break off. The outside receiver to that trip side is running kind of a clear route or a fade route down the field. He has a step here. It's an option. It's a tight throw, but it is there for the quarterback if he wants it. Now, of course, on this play, the Browns are playing Greg Williams' trademark man-to-man coverage. They have a 2 deep, 5 under man-to-man coverage with 2 high safeties patrolling the deep part of the field. So with this play concept, the high side of the screen, offense is left. We're going to get a flat route from the running back underneath, and then a corner route behind that to kind of create a high-low concept on this sideline. In this case, again, we get this press man-to-man coverage. We see the press here, and so this receiver, I believe this is Mike Evans, does a really good job of pushing his route a little bit inside, stemming his route in, knowing that he's going to create space for himself to break into on that corner route to the outside of the field. Now, this corner route is well run, but a corner route in general is a very hard route to cover in man-to-man coverage. And sure enough, we see Winston picking that route and hitting his receiver to create this first down. So this wasn't the only time that Monken ran that play against the Browns. Here we are on 1st and 10. This may have even been earlier in the same drive, but same kind of formation, except here we're flipped. So we have trips to the left. That single receiver is tight to the right side of the field, and the running back here is aligned in a more traditional shotgun set where he could actually be a threat to run the ball. Now, obviously on 1st and 10, that's, traditionally what you want to do is create some sense of doubt in the defense's mind. Could this be a run play? With that running back just cheated up those few yards, as we saw in the 3rd down play, there's really no doubt it's going to be a pass. Here, maybe there could be some sort of shotgun run going on. But as we roll this clip forward, again, all 4 receivers threaten that 9 route. They threaten the vertical space on the snap. But this is the same play, if you recognize this, just mirrored. So we have a shoot route to the flat from the running back, the corner route coming behind it, 2 curls to the high side of the screen from the inside receivers, and then outside receiver kind of run that fade or that clear out route. So Winston gets a zone coverage read. Sure enough, on the snap, it is a zone coverage. This is kind of a Tampa 2 coverage, pretty often run by Greg Williams against pass-happy teams. So against this look, Winston has several options. On the left side of the screen, we did create a high-low concept on that cornerback. That cornerback can't cover both these guys, and one of them is open. In this case, it's the running back. He is wide open, but Winston sees something he likes a little bit better here, which is a curl route. He sees that zone defender underneath here, kind of cheating toward that inside receiver, throws it outside as he breaks inside, and is able to get a bigger chunk on 1st down to create another first down. So with Monken in these kind of Air Coryell offenses, this is something we're going to see is threatening that vertical space. Receivers running these vertical stems on these routes and then breaking potentially off of that, but really establishing the offense with the threat of the vertical passing game. Now this play should look familiar from the previous video. This is part of the pick routes that Todd Monken likes to run. We can see on the inside here as we roll this forward, this receiver is running kind of a shallow route, not a vertically threatening route, but he's really only running this route to create a pick for the vertical route. And so the real three options that this quarterback has and would like to take primarily are these three verticals from the two outside receivers and that inside receiver in the slot. But this is something that the Bucs would do against man-to-man coverage, is try to create these picks or these rubs to get receivers open against man-to-man coverage. So the reason I bring this play back is because it illustrates two things. First of all, the vertical nature of an Air Coryell offense, but also, that Todd Monken is liking to use these pick routes, especially in situations where he thinks he'll see man-to-man coverage to break his receivers open. Now, using pick routes is something that Baker Mayfield should be very familiar with from his time at Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley was very good at using these pick routes and running his fastest receivers and playmakers around a variety of picks to really disrupt man-to-man coverage and give an already fast player the edge. Okay, this play from Baker at Oklahoma is one such play where Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley was really using those pick routes to try to get receivers open. So first you see before the snap motion from Dimitri Flowers, who's more of a fullback type player. This sort of motion creates confusion already for a defense because it's motioning a big player all the way out to a wide receiver position. So before the snap, the defense has to sort out who goes out to cover that guy. Is it a cornerback who's typically the outside most coverage guy and probably the most comfortable playing out there in that position? Is it a linebacker who's probably a better matchup for Flowers and someone who can handle his physicality? Another thing that this motion does for Oklahoma is it tells the offense what coverage the defense is in. As we see a linebacker flow out there to cover Flowers, we can get a pretty solid handle that this is going to be man-to-man coverage. So the other key receivers on this play are going to be Mark Andrews here, lined up in the slot to the right side. He's a big physical player, a tight end, 6'5", 250. On the left side of the formation, lined up off the line of scrimmage, we have D.D. Westbrook, one of the fastest playmakers in college football. Small guy, quick guy, but speed and playmaking ability. So on this play, we're going to see a classic air raid play that does not use kind of these vertical passing games. It's more of a horizontal passing game, and that's called mesh. So mesh is going to be where two receivers both run shallow crossing routes from opposite sides of the formation. Traditionally, this is run really close to one another to create kind of a natural rub, but Lincoln Riley took it to the next level. And if you watch Andrews on this play, he's really just purely setting a pick on that player who's in man-to-man coverage on Westbrook. He's really not even running a shallow crossing route. This is seriously just aiming and headhunting for that guy who's trying to cover Westbrook in man-to-man coverage. Now, obviously, this read here with Flowers flowing out and the linebacker following him out of man-to-man coverage helped Andrews as well on this play because it helps him diagnose, I have to go look for a man who's going to be trying to cover Westbrook in man-to-man coverage on this crossing route, and I need to go pick that guy. As we roll this forward, the Texas Tech defense here does a good job of kind of trading. So that receiver or that cornerback is getting picked. Well, the linebacker, who's kind of the spy in the middle of the defense here in a short zone, gets a read on this play, comes forward to kind of knock Westbrook off his route, disrupt hopefully the timing of this throw. Maybe got away with a little pass interference on that play, really close call. He does, as you can see, knock Westbrook well off of his path, but the fact that this corner got picked, the speedy guy, and the linebacker is now the one chasing Westbrook, really favors Oklahoma. You have a fast guy who can simply turn the corner and run around this linebacker, then put on the brakes and make him look silly in the open field. It's 3rd and 4, and you just got about 15 yards to create a first down and keep this drive alive. The thing that this motion does for Oklahoma is it tells the offense what coverage the defense is in. As we see a linebacker flow out there to cover Flowers, we can get a pretty solid handle that this is going to be man-to-man coverage. You see a man go with him, probably man-to-man coverage. All right, so here we are again with Oklahoma, this time at Ohio State in Ohio Stadium. Very hostile environment, and Lincoln Riley didn't really deviate from his core play concepts too much, but he introduced a few wrinkles to really make life tough on Ohio State's defense. This Ohio State defense was known for playing press man-to-man coverage. They sent a lot of man-to-man cornerbacks into the NFL, Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, Bradley Roby, and that kind of became the trademark of this Ohio State defense. So as Lincoln Riley, you know they're going to want to play press man, especially with a guy like Denzel Ward on the field, who's going to later go on to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. On this play, we're again going to see mesh. We're again going to see this tight bunch motion, but watch all of the motion and the picks that happen that OSU's defense has to sort through. Low side of the screen, we're going to see receiver go in motion. That creates 1 pick. Now, if the defense was trying to play press man-man coverage, really crowding that line of scrimmage as they are on the high side of the field, that alone creates a situation where defenders have to bubble over one another and kind of sift through that. In this situation, it just made it so that Ohio State's linebacker had to play off the line of scrimmage to allow Ward to go through underneath. Now, on the snap, we get another pick. So those receivers cross once in the motion, cross once again after the snap, and that's another thing that Ohio State's defense has to sort through. As we roll this play forward, you could see that if Baker wanted it, this is an easy completion here to Andrews for a first down. However, we are going to see mesh here, and we know that on mesh, Andrews is really just hunting for that player in man-man coverage and going to set picks on him to spring him open. So as we roll this forward, if this weren't thrown, there would be another pick here. That's 3 picks on 1 play, and good luck defense sorting that out. As it stands, however, the kind of pick before and pick after did enough to mess with Denzel Ward's leverage on this play that Baker had a wide open receiver. We could see him break open to the sideline here. He's got great separation. And unfortunately, this is just not the most accurate throw from Baker on 3rd and 4, and it does fall incomplete. His line didn't do him any favors here. As you can see immediately off the snap, the center gets beat. I believe that's Draymond Jones with a spin move there. And you can't blame Baker for really not wanting to let this play develop here, throwing to that kind of 3rd pick route and taking that open option that was available. Because if he holds onto the ball any longer, he's going to get steamrolled by 86 coming up the middle. Now, you would like to see him stand in there and make this throw on time, on target. It does sail away from him a little bit, but this play just kind of illustrates the underneath routes that Lincoln Riley and the Oklahoma offense like to use. It also illustrates the amount of picks and repicks that they were willing to do to kind of make defenses get out of man-to-man coverage. Now back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We see a very similar situation, 3rd and 2. You need a quick, easy completion to keep this drive alive. Todd Monken dials up an old kind of West Coast offense, air raid offense kind of staple. Oklahoma ran this all the time with Baker in college. This is a snag route. So what snag combination is going to be? It's going to be a corner route from an inside receiver. You're going to see a shoot route to the flat from the running back, and that should look very familiar to what we saw from Monken on those vertical stem passing plays as well, right? That corner flat combination. The difference with this one is that we're going to get a snag route from the inside receiver. They're just going to run inside, kind of almost run a little slant, but stop and hook up and face the quarterback. From there, if it's man-to-man coverage, they might break in or out, but the primary thing is to run inside and sit. Now, this combination is very good against zone coverages because it creates a triangle stretch. You have a 3-person stretch creating a triangle. It's a horizontal stretch inside and out, and it's a vertical stretch deep and underneath. That is something you see a lot from West Coast offenses. You see it a lot from air raid offenses, these more kind of shallow passing attack offenses, is these triangle stretches. You also see with the snag route a lot of picks, and we know that pick routes and rubs and receivers crossing one another are very hard for defenses to sift through when they're in man-to-man. So sure enough, Greg Williams, true to tendency, is going to play press man-to-man coverage in this situation. We can see a couple of corners already lined up to play press on those receivers. We get a little shift from the defense, and this is a subtle thing, but it makes all the difference. If you notice the Browns, whichever receiver is lined up on the line of scrimmage, they are trying to press that receiver. So we see that to the high side of the screen here. Up on the line of scrimmage, they are getting right up on that line of scrimmage, crowding it and getting that receiver's face. Any receiver who's off the line of scrimmage, the Browns step off as well. And that is how Greg Williams' defense is supposed to work. So when you're in man-to-man coverage, if these two receivers pick one another, this defender is going to go underneath that pick, and this guy is going to go over that pick. And you already kind of have that vertical space set so you can cover these guys effectively. Now, Denzel Ward is a rookie. There's some motion on this play. There's a shift on this play, and I don't think he fully gets the adjustment. If you notice, in this last little shift, these receivers trade places. So instead of Ward's receiver up on the line of scrimmage, we see the inside receiver there. This means, as our safety here, I believe that's Demarius Randall, gets up to press that receiver, Ward should bubble back a little bit, creating that vertical space. Unfortunately, on this play, it never happens. Ward is still up crowding the line of scrimmage, and as the ball is snapped, this pick from this snag route is extremely effective. Look at how far down the field Ward is getting washed out of the play, creating 8 yards of separation for a short throw here in man-to-man coverage. That's obviously not ideal for the defense, but that's the reason the offenses do these kinds of things, these last little subtle shifts in motions, and then running a whole bunch of receivers that are tightly packed through a bunch of picks makes it very, very difficult to run man-to-man coverage. All right, Browns fans, so there you see it. We're getting Todd Monken creating a lot of picks in the passing game. We see a little bit more tendency for him to be vertical with that offense, to threaten that 9 route, threaten those deep routes down the field. But he is still able to kind of dial up these West Coast and air raid kind of classic plays to convert as well when he wants to. We're also able to see some of the similarities between these offenses here, the way they're thinking about matchups and getting these picks and, kind of having a plan for zone coverage, having a plan for man-to-man coverage. So in my opinion, this could be a very, very favorable thing for the Browns to get this kind of deep down the field passing attack mixed in with these pick routes and these short things that Baker's really used to running from his time in Oklahoma. I'm excited to see what the Browns do this year and just really excited for the potential of this offense. So, all right, Browns fans, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to visit dogsbynature.com for all your Cleveland Browns news and analysis. I'm Rufio.